Hey everyone, this is Faith Ray, and welcome to part 3 of Becoming a Cam Model. Today, there's mainly 4 things I'm going to be covering. We are going to be looking at your online persona, your wardrobe, your environment, and I'm also going to touch on toys a bit. Most of this video is going to be me talking about what works best for me as a performer. Because what it is that I'm discussing varies so heavily from performer to performer, I can't really give you an absolute answer as to what's going to work best for you, but hopefully I can at least give you some ideas and inspiration to help you figure out for yourself what would work best. I'm going to do my best to give you lots of lists and be extra descriptive just to make sure that you have a solid base upon which to build your own online presence. Don't mind my cat. In the camming industry, it's not hard to come across a wide variety of performers. As a performer, you need to figure out what your strengths are and use them to your advantage. You want to play them up and find your niche. I've heard so many people interested in getting into the industry talk about how excited they are that they just get to sit there and people are going to throw money at them. Granted, it can happen, but it's not at all an accurate description of how this line of work works. You need to stand out. You need to give viewers a reason to choose you over the next person. When it comes to my personal online personality, I don't really portray a character. I guess you could say that I tend to simply show certain aspects of myself that I feel are beneficial to what I do. As far as my appearance goes, I've always had a strong appreciation for the more alternative style of things, so I tend to play that up a lot. I'll go with darker makeup. Today is actually quite toned down, but I also dye my hair. I have a wide variety of wardrobe that can cater to people with a heavier preference for that style, and so on and so forth. My style definitely does not appeal to everyone, but that's perfectly fine. I found my niche and I've made it work for me. I did promise lists, so here's the first one. It's just a few examples of different niches or characters that viewers tend to come across when looking for a performer. Just to give you an idea of, maybe something you can try. Hopefully something tickles your fancy, and if not, maybe it'll help you come up with something else that suits you a little better. So a few things that are pretty common in the industry are, the bratty sorority / college girl. There's dominatrixes, MILFs, which for those of you who don't know stands for Mother I'd Like to Fuck. There's also girl next door, submissive slut, as well as your typical, some people just focus on, oh, I'm a blonde, oh, I'm a brunette, oh, I have tattoos. So just to give you an idea, the possibilities are really endless. I just can't think of anything else beyond that right now. Now again, remember that most of what I'm talking about in this video has to do with what I found works for me, just to give you an idea of things, so you don't have to take everything I'm saying in this video literally. You need to be able to modify it and adapt it to suit your own tastes and desires. For example, when it comes to personal characters, I don't really like to take on a character unless it's specifically requested. So for example, as much as I love my naughty schoolgirl skirt and, dressing up to play the part, I would never wear that for a full shift online, I guess you would say. Mainly because I personally don't want to give off the impression that it's the only kind of show I'll do. I would rather wear something more neutral or something just more my general style and do my best to make it clear that I am willing to take on other characters based on what people want to see. This way, I'm keeping myself open to a wider variety of clients, because if you're only offering one very specific thing, chances are other people might pass you up for someone else if they don't think you're able to offer what they're looking for. As far as being in the actual show goes, I've had a huge complaint from a lot of viewers about the way that other performers go about this one very important thing, and it's how you start. A lot of girls tend to jump into autopilot. As soon as a guy comes in, they start moving all sexy and taking their clothes off. And while that's all fine and dandy, not everyone's there for that particular reason. Some people would rather be dominated, or have you tell them a dirty story, or show them your feet. So when you run on autopilot, it gives them, not only is it less personal, because you're not even waiting to hear what they want before you start trying to give it to them. It just, again, it gives off the impression that you're a very one-track performer, that you can only offer one thing, and that you aren't up for what it is they're looking for if it happens to not be what it is you're doing. So what I like to do at the beginning of a show is simply say hello, ask how they're doing, and ask them what they're in the mood for. Because not all my viewers are the same, and if you get into the industry, not all of your viewers are going to be the same either. Just on a side note, another important thing about finding out what it is your viewer wants right at the beginning of the show, or sometimes prior to the show if they talk to you in free chat first, is that if they do want something that you are not willing to do, you can let them know right from the get-go, instead of dragging things out with your autopilot and then pissing them off when they find out that they're not actually going to get what they want. Of course, I'm probably going to say this like 10 million more times before the video is even over, but as I said, I can't give you too much advice when it comes to finding your niche or building your character. It has to come from your desires, your preferences, your interests, your comfort levels. We're all different, and it's such a personal and unique choice to make how we portray ourselves on camera. I can give you the inspiration, but you have to make the choices. On to the next part. So now I want to talk to you guys about wardrobe. Wardrobe is important for numerous reasons, and I'm sure the most obvious one is sex appeal. You want to wear something sexy, something that draws them in and makes them want more. Now, when it comes to wardrobe, I personally like wearing typically 3, maybe 4, depending on the outfit, items of clothing at a time. Most of my outfits tend to consist of stripper bikinis and, bras, panties, yoga pants, and skirts. The reason that I only choose to wear 3 items of clothing rather than, say, 2 or 1 is that when you are doing a striptease, you don't want it to be over too fast, but you don't want to drag it out forever either. If you're wearing 10 things, they're going to get bored. So I find 3 is good. You can go slow enough to draw it out and make them, itch for that little extra tug on the fabric, but it's not enough that it's going to make them wonder what the fuck is taking so long. You also want to factor in comfort, ease of removal, ease of putting back on. If you're going to be sitting in front of a computer for a while, you want to be comfortable. When you're stripping, you don't want to end up tripping over your laces, or not being able to untie the back of your bikini because it's knotted, or have to worry about a million buckles and snaps and straps and clasps and all that, because it makes the performance a little less fluid, a little more broken up, because you have to stop what you're doing and try and fiddle with stuff. So you want to be able to take it off easily, you want to be able to be comfortable in it, and of course, just to make sure that you're not wasting, potential show time in between shows, you want to be able to put it back on as quickly as possible so that you're ready to go for the next one. So far, what I've listed for wardrobe has pretty much only touched on the bare basics. On top of what I typically start off wearing at the beginning of the day, I also have a collection of roleplay outfits as well as extras. Extras being things that I have no problem putting on in a show, but wouldn't bother going out of my way to wear just, during my shift for the hell of it. So stuff like that includes, naughty nurse, schoolgirl, secretary, outfits like that. You can get into cosplay, you can do cop, these days you can get a sexy version of anything in costume form. So those are definitely good for role plays. I also have stuff like stockings, pantyhose, body stockings, footwear, shoes. I just said footwear. gloves, corsets, garter belts, dresses, just so if, if someone wants me to be more dominant and they want me to dress the part, I have the clothing for that. If someone has a stalking fetish, I have the clothing for that. If someone wants to pretend they're picking me up at a club, I have the clothing for that. Of course, you don't have to acquire everything at once. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Yes, you do have to spend money to make money, but you don't want to be breaking the bank right from the get-go. You can build it up as you go. Typically, what I tend to do is if I start noticing I'm getting a lot of requests for something specific, then I'll go pick it up. I'm not just going to start loading up and assuming everything I buy is going to get used. Now, this isn't really wardrobe, but it's still appearance related. So another thing I'm going to add is that I like to try and maintain the whole well-groomed appearance. I don't let my nails chip. As soon as they do, I take off my nail polish and do something else. I'm just about ready to dye my roots again. This is about as bad as it gets before I redo that. Just little things, especially, for foot fetish people, keep your toenails painted, stuff like that. Just the little things tend to add up and make you look a little more put together, which is really good. Going back to wardrobe though, one thing to remember is that, variety in your wardrobe allows you to cater to a wider variety of viewers. Again, no pressure to get everything at once, but it's good to be observant about what people want so that you can make sure you have it in the future. And again, the wider the selection, the more likely it is you'll be able to say yes when someone has some random request for you to dress up as a mermaid and let them pull you up onto their fishing boat. Alright, so apologies if this next part is repetitive. I kind of threw it in on the fly when I was talking about something else, but I actually have it written out for me to say now. So just to make sure I'm not missing anything, I'd rather say it twice than accidentally skip a little detail, so sorry. Alright, so variety can be key in the kinds of shows you offer. If all you ever do is strip and masturbate, not only are you going to get bored, but your clients are going to be under the impression that it's the only thing you do, and it's going to make you look a lot less appealing. However, there is an exception to this. Of course, we all have our limits, we all have our, personal standards that we set for ourselves, and being in this industry, holding on to your self-respect is one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself. So if you are only comfortable doing one kind of show, you do have to accept the fact that you will probably bring in less business, but you will feel a whole lot better about yourself as a person, and you should not be afraid to say no to anything that you are not okay doing. Figuring out what kind of shows you'll do is just like gathering your wardrobe together. It's going to take some time. If someone asks you to do something that you're not against doing but you don't feel ready for, say you just don't know enough about the topic yet, you don't feel experienced enough, just let them know. Honestly, I had to do so much research when I started doing this job because I was getting requests for things I'd never even heard of. And so I was honest with them. I said, you know what, it sounds good to me, but I don't want to rip you off. So if you're willing to give me some time to do some research, come back in a couple days and we'll give it a shot. But again, remember, I'm new to this. I find that a lot of clients not only will become repeat customers if you're more willing to be open and honest with them about your limitations while showing that you're willing to do something about them. Excuse my cat. It also just, it makes your job easier too, because you're not sitting there sweating over the fact that you're not really sure what you're doing. It also decreases the chances of getting bad ratings because, obviously people are going to look at your ratings and see what other people have to say about you. And if you're constantly doing things or accepting shows where you don't know what you're doing, people are going to say something about that, and it's going to make you look bad in front of future clients. So do some research. If you're not sure about something, do some research. There's nothing wrong with saying you're not ready for it. And if the viewer is a jerk about it when you tell them that, you'd like some time to look into it, they're probably not a client worth keeping around anyway. Now I'm going to give you an example of something that I had no idea existed until I got into this industry, and that is the small penis humiliation fetish. You heard me right. I had no clue what it was until I started getting requests for it. And I was like, okay, I get the gist of it. The guy wants me to make fun of the fact that he has a small penis. He wants me to humiliate him for the fact that he has a small penis. I grasp the concept just fine. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. However, actually coming up with phrases and terms and, finding ways to set off their triggers, in a positive way. Just getting into the mentality where I can feel like I'm being genuine about it, because I'm typically too nice of a person to ever actually say something like that to someone. Just getting into the zone for it and everything. Like, it was too new to me to just jump into. So I did exactly what I've been suggesting. Is I did some research first. I told them I wasn't ready, but that I wanted to give it a shot once I was. And honestly, it's now one of the most common types of shows I do. It's a subcategory of domination as a whole, I guess you could say, which I also get a lot of business with. But it's something I would have never known anything about if I hadn't gotten into this industry. And if I had jumped into it without knowing what I was doing, who knows, maybe I would have had enough bad ratings that people would have lost interest in me. Maybe I would have gotten so frustrated with myself that I would have given up on what is now one of my biggest sources of income within the industry. So being informed, pacing yourself, giving yourself the time to learn and understand things as they come your way is it just makes things a lot easier, and it's more likely to benefit you in the long run. The next thing that I'm going to talk about in this video, the second last thing, is environment. It's really one of the simpler things to focus on as long as you've got the basics covered. Number one is lighting. Now, my lighting isn't ideal, but it's definitely not bad. Please excuse my cat. He has not shut up since I started recording. So anyway, for lighting, I think the issue with my lighting is just that this one is slightly darker, so it casts a bit of a shadow. But if you have a lamp on either side of you, like I have one standing lamp over here, and then I have a desk lamp on top of my computer over here, I find that just kind of balances things out, makes you easily visible. Better lighting also makes you show up clearer. If it's darker, even with an HD camera, you can tend to look a little on the grainy side. So proper lighting also helps with just visual clarity. And again, I probably mentioned this when I talked about webcam quality and all of that stuff. The higher quality everything is, like, the more appealing it's going to look. So lighting, definitely important. Also, I have the ceiling light on above me too. After lighting is honestly just tidiness. That's it. I mean, you don't need a fancy setup with everything hanging out on the walls. I mean, I have my shoes lined up across my futon behind me, but that's because, when I get asked 20 times a day, do you have heels, baby? I'd rather just be like, why, yes, I do, instead of like pulling them out every single time. So, sorry, I'm digressing a little. The whole point of this is that as long as your environment looks neat and well organized, you're okay. Obviously add some character to it if you want. Mine, this is not what I would ideally set my workroom up as, but that's because this was my bedroom. Again, I'm going to digress momentarily. I used to work in my master bedroom, but it was costing too much to heat it for work because, in the middle of the winter when you're stripping down to nothing in front of a camera, it tends to be a little chilly. So I switched the master bedroom with this room just so I can work in a smaller room, easier to heat, and it's not on the corner of the building, so again, easier to heat. I was too lazy to switch the decor, so yeah, there's my little ramble for the day, or the 20th or whatever. So anyway, decor, okay, pictures look better than posters. You don't want dirty laundry strewn all over the floor. I gave up on organizing my blanket across the futon because my cat sleeps on it half the time when I'm working anyway. But yeah, just make sure things look well put together, and the rest of it's not that important. Obviously, you can extend your persona into your environment. I've seen like the bratty college girl type have like bright pink leopard print walls and, sequined bed sheets. Maybe not sequined bed sheets, but that'd be cool. You can play up your character through the room you're in, but honestly, it's not what they're looking at the end of the day anyway. Just make sure it's clean. Last but not least, I want to talk about sex toys. Of course, just like your shows, the toys you own are going to vary from performer to performer based on what it is you're comfortable doing. So for example, I don't own any anal toys because I don't take it up the ass. As far as bare necessities go, you don't exactly need an extensive collection. I mean, it can come in handy, but I've honestly done just fine with 3 basic toys. So, small variety can work just fine. So as far as what I do own, I currently have 1 dildo, 1 vibrator, and 1 strap-on. And they work fine for me. Another very important thing to consider is lube. I swear to God, water-based lube I find is best for vaginal penetration. You'd probably get silicone-based lube if you do anal. But it's great for those days when every single show you're doing is penetration, because I'm sorry, gents, we cannot keep ourselves lubed up 24/7 on our own. It's physically impossible. I mean, I'm sure someone out there can do it, but I'm sure as hell not one of them. So lube alongside your toys is very, very important. My poor vagina would never be able to handle this line of work without it. Other ideas on toys you can use are, if you're on the more dominant side, you can get whips, paddles, stuff like that. Those also work if you're on the submissive side, because you can use them on yourself in your shows. Other things you can use are ropes, other restraints, masks, gags, chokers, chains, handcuffs, stuff like that. Again, the types of toys you will need for your shows will vary depending on the types of shows you offer. And again, I'm repeating myself on certain things. If you don't have every single thing you need right away, don't sweat it. When I first started camming, I'm pretty sure I had 1 toy, 4 pairs of shoes, 2 outfits, and it just, it gave me something to work with. And as I made more money, I spent more money, or rather invested more money into expanding things. So, you'll be okay if you don't have everything from the get-go. So I think that covers everything for today. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Keep in mind that I do still have at least 1 more video coming out in this series. Probably 2. So, I can answer any questions you have either in the comments, or if it's something I simply haven't discussed yet, you'll probably get your answer in a future video. And at the end of the series, I'm going to be doing a question and answer video just to clarify anything that maybe you didn't quite understand that I said, or if I missed something in one of my videos, I can answer that in the question and answer video as well. So no matter what, eventually I should have everything covered. So don't be afraid to drop me a line if there's anything I can do to help, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to making the next video for you. Have a good day, guys.